And we're live. What is going on, everybody? My name is Nikki Smokes, and you are listening to the first ever live episode of The Smoke Show. I got two guests today. We're going to be talking about the Miami Heat, obviously. We got a massive Game 5 tonight. It's a must win. And then, of course, we're going to talk about our beloved Miami Dolphins. Is this team a playoff team? Can we make the playoffs? Can we win more than 8.5 games? What is holding us back from catching Buffalo? And is this the best roster we've had in 15 years? Before we get into all that, please leave a like, comment. I'm going to try to answer some of your guys' comments. Like, subscribe. Let's blow this thing up. Without further ado, I would bring my first ever guest, someone who is very dear to me. He brought me on to this whole YouTube idea, the one and only Stephen D. You guys already know him. If you're on
What's up,
YouTube,
baby?
you already know who this guy is. Welcome to the show, man. It's an honor to have you as my first guest because you were the first person to ever allow me on their platform.
Well, number one, it's an honor to be here, Smokes. I am super excited to be here. I love YouTube and I love seeing all these new platforms popping up. And when I found out when we were talking behind the scenes that you were, hey, I'm thinking about doing my own channel, I was like, go for it, man. And I'm super excited about. I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary doing the show on this past Saturday, and now you're starting. So next, we're going to be doing this all over again a year from now. And you're going to be like, whoa, where has the year gone, man?
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. But that's a major accomplishment. 1 year of so much consistency, too, because you go every single day. So that alone, you have my utmost respect. And I just hope I can emulate that with my show and give that same type of consistency to my audience. So definitely look up to you in that aspect. But tonight, I see you got your Heat gear on. I got my Heat gear on
already, baby.
I got the lucky shirt. Now, I haven't wore this the last two games, and I think that's why we lost. But, bro, we got a major Game 5 tonight, and I'm so tired. Everyone's just like, oh, the series is done. The Sixers this, Sixers that. Bro, we were on the road. Our role players played terrible. We shot 7 for 35 from three-point. Is it just like I know Embiid back obviously changed the series? Like, it's not a question. Like, Embiid is obviously a phenomenal basketball player. He's changed the dynamic of the series, but I truly believe our failure in Philly is more self-inflicted, more so than Embiid being back. I mean, we're just not hitting shots that we usually hit.
You know, it's so funny that you bring that up. So Game 4 for me was so frustrating to watch, and let me tell you why. Because we did everything right except for hit the threes. Make them. That's it. That's the only thing we did wrong. And if you go back and look at it, like, it wasn't even Embiid killing us. It wasn't even Harden killing us in the fourth quarter. It was, if we decided instead of taking a three, we were, if I'm correct, let me make sure. I want to make sure I say this right. 7 for 35 from three-point land on that Game 4. If we were there from the standpoint of just let me take 2 steps forward and get inside the paint and try to drive the ball, 6, 7 more shots difference would have been a completely different ball game. But when you when you're only 20% from the 3-point line and you miss, what is that, 23 3-pointers? I mean, that's essentially what's 3 times 23? That's 69. That's a 69-point swing.
Yep.
You're not going to win basketball games like that.
It's ridiculous. And shout out Draco. It is Duncan time. Now, look, I know he's a liability on defense. I don't care. We're a liability on the offensive side. Like, we're not hitting threes. We're not hitting shots. When you're 7 for 35 and Kyle Lowry is 0 for 35 or 0 for 6, he's playing on one leg. He's not getting the job done. We need a little spice, man. I mean, Jimmy Butler cannot be our leading three-point shooter in a game and expect us to win. I'm sorry. And it's like every time that game got close, we just let them go on this crazy run and kill us. It was ridiculous. But
I thought Harden was playing for the Rockets again because that's how he looked.
Bro,
right?
He was cooking.
He was cooking. And I go back. I just want to go back to my original point. It was funny because in the post-game presser, shout out to the people in the chat, Lance, Fonjo. I love you guys too. You guys are great. Andres, you guys are great. I tried to send as many people as I could over here from the morning show this morning to come back and watch, bro.
Good.
I said this in the or if you listen to the post game presser, Eric Spoelstra was like, "We didn't really do anything wrong. Like they were 89% from the free throw line. They were 46% from field goals. They could have been better, but the reality is they just weren't hitting shots that night. Period.
At all. at all.
It wasn't that they weren't getting open looks. They were getting open looks. They were missing wide open shots. So
Yep.
they had 33 rebounds. Philly had 32. They had 24 assists. Philly had 25. They had 5 blocks. Philly had 2. They had 9 steals. Philly had 5. They had 13 turnovers. Philly had 16. They
Yep.
had 48 points in the paint. Philly only had 34 points in the paint. Philly was
Ridiculous.
hitting 3. We weren't
Yep.
hitting 3s. But if we decided to not go for the 3 and get into the paint, 48 points in the paint turns into what? 60? An extra
Yep.
12 points wins us the game, Smokes. Does
I
it
agree.
not?
I agree. I agree. I think we win tonight, though. What do you think about tonight? I think we win, and I think
100%.
we win. I think we win by at least 10. I really do. I think it's going to be a very solid performance tonight. I think the shooters come back to the block.
There's no reason we should have lost game 4, in my opinion. And I think because of that, they're pissed off. I know Kyle Lowry has been ruled out for tonight. I said at the end of my show that was just announced that he has been ruled out for tonight's game. But I don't think it's a huge miss because I think it allowed. Yeah, I think Tyler Herro is going to step up tonight, and Duncan needs to step up tonight. And Bam needs to have a good night too, right?
Yeah,
and if you get anything from Victor Oladipo doesn't even need to have a good night. He just doesn't need to lose you the game. Just play your minutes, Victor. Do what you need to do while you're on the court. But I'm not expecting anything bad out of you. I'm just expecting you to not lose the game on a big, turnover or anything like that. But I personally think I agree. 10-point win. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, amen. All right, so we just talked about the Miami Heat. Now let's get into the reason why everyone's here. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to bring in a dear friend of mine. He's my co-host on the Smoking Greens podcast, the one and only Sir Bobby. Welcome to the panel. Introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are and what you represent.
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me, Smoke. Definitely appreciate being on the first ever episode here. But yeah, I mean, like he said, we do a podcast together for golf. I'm a huge Dolphins fan. I live close to Buffalo. I don't know how that all worked out, but I hate the Bills more than anything in the world, and I love the Dolphins second best, probably. I might hate the Bills more than I love the Dolphins, which might sound weird to people, but that is kind of how I feel.
I hate the Jets more than I love the Dolphins.
Okay, fair play.
I get it. I get it.
I don't know. I really love this Dolphins team, and I really love this roster, and I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I am sipping the Kool-Aid. I've never sipped this much Kool-Aid in my life, and I feel like every single year I'm just full sending the Dolphins Kool-Aid, but this year I'm about to overdose because I'm so fired up about this team. And at the same time, Vegas is not sipping our Kool-Aid. They don't even have us to make the playoffs. The Miami Dolphins to not make the playoffs is a minus 180 favorite. They're saying we're not going to make the playoffs. Now, do you think that's a lack of talent on the Miami Dolphins or just how deep the AFC is? I don't know. I think it's more because the AFC is so loaded because I said yesterday our roster competes with anyone in the NFL, top to bottom. I don't care. There is an argument that the Miami Dolphins can compete with anybody in the National Football League. So why are we not getting that respect that we should be a favorite to make the playoffs? I'll start with Stephen D, man.
I mean, look, I think Vegas had us at 8.5 was the over-under, if I'm correct, or not. It might even be 9.5. Now they might have moved it up.
It's 8.5. I have that for later in the show. Yeah. We got to talk about that because that's disrespectful.
It is. And here's the reality of the situation. The Dolphins have done everything in their power to improve their team from last season to this season on many different levels, right? You look at the signing that we had yesterday with bringing in Sony Michel of the defending world champions Los Angeles Rams, and you're like, okay, now we're shoring up the backfield, right? And that is our RB1 for the last 2 years is now probably RB4 or 5 on this team. That should tell you everything that you need to know right there, right? And so with all of that, let's take this roster. Let's move pieces around. Let's bring in people that I think is going to work within the offensive scheme that Mike McDaniel has. I think when it's all said and done, I think that you see the disrespect more of what the rest of the AFC has done rather than the Dolphins didn't do enough. The Dolphins have done everything in their power to improve. but the rest of the AFC has gotten stronger too. And so the
Yep.
Dolphins haven't done it yet. And this is a league where you have to show us. You have to show us,
Yep.
or how are we ever going to know, right? Right, Bobby?
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, like Smoke said, every year with the Dolphins, they're selling you hope. You buy back in early. Things changed for me last year. I made my way down to Miami for my first ever game. It was the home opener versus Buffalo. I left in the third quarter. That was the lowest point I've ever been on the Dolphins as a team. And then they go out and lose to Houston, Jacksonville, Atlanta. So I was at a severe low spot last year. The comeback, the 7-game win streak brought me back in. I was bought back in, but I was still on the fence. But this offseason, I mean, look at the talent we've brought in. My favorite signing was re-signing Ugba back. We never keep our players at home. I love keeping that talent back in Miami. So keeping Ugba at home is unbelievable. Armstead and what's his name? Connor Williams to shore up the line a little bit. Still a little shaky on the line. I would say, I know we're going to get to it later, but outside of quarterback, offensive line is still iffy in my opinion. But I mean, we have the talent. We truly do. I think it's a combo of what you said, Smoke. I mean, the AFC is loaded from top to bottom. There's 10 really, really good teams, I would say. And then it's that second point of you need to prove it. And the Dolphins throughout the years have shown that they haven't. I'm hoping that this is the year we get over the little hump there, but I'm excited. I think we definitely can make the playoffs, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be tough.
You know what I tell everyone? I say, bro, if we could go into Buffalo and win a game, then I'll truly believe that this team could go out there and win the AFC. That's our biggest Goliath. If the Miami Dolphins could go out there and we go into freaking Buffalo and we whoop their ass, I will be up and down preaching the Miami Dolphins for the Super Bowl. I'll be going ballistic. I'll have every single dollar I have to my name wagered that the Miami Dolphins are going to win the AFC East and win the AFC. I truly believe that if we beat that beast in Buffalo, that is like the last check mark for me. Now we have a lot of question marks going in, but that's my biggest objective.
Let me ask you a question, Nikki. What if that is week 1 and there's no film on the Dolphins and the Dolphins are able to surprise Buffalo, right? Do you still feel that way even if we go in week 1, we beat them in Buffalo? Do you still feel that way afterwards where you're like, oh, yes, we got this? Because for me, this is a conversation for the last 2 days we've had on my morning show that who do you want to face week 1? And I'm like, I don't want to face Buffalo in Buffalo week 1 because it won't be a real test, in my opinion. Now,
well, here's the thing. So we go back to last year, right? What did we do week 1? I was there. We went into New England, beat New England, right? And then lose 7 straight games. But at the same time, for us, it hasn't really mattered when we play Buffalo. We're losing by an average of 20 points per game. Yeah. So if we go out there off rip and we beat them and we switch this whole narrative that the Dolphins start slow and we beat our biggest challenge of the year early, I think that sets the tone for the rest of the year. I'd rather play them in September, but I hear what you're saying. Like, it might not be as significant if we went in there and we beat them in December, right? When it's freezing cold, when the Dolphins are known to come off the bus in 6 different jackets because they're freezing cold and they're scared of the snow and all that other crap. But I don't care, man. I don't even remember the last time we went into Buffalo and won. It's been that long. So I'll take it week 1, week 5, week 10, week 16. I'll take it whenever, man. And then if they come down to us and we beat them later in the year, because that's usually how it goes, unless when it was the Jets, like we played the Jets and then bye week and played them again. But usually, like, you play them early and then you play them late again. So if we beat them in Buffalo and if we sweep Buffalo, I don't even get me going there. Don't even get me going there. I'm not ready for that.
I mean, I've bet every year, not the past couple of years, but usually I'm going to those games in Buffalo versus Miami, and it's usually not good, boys. I mean, my first ever experience, 4 years old, I walked in with my dad and my uncle. Bills fan comes up to me, stuffed dolphin, stabs it with a pocket knife, throws it at my feet, and says, "Squish the fish." So that
who did that? Your father?
No. Some random guy. Guy.
You're in Buffalo as a 4-year-old kid and some Bills fan
and he's stabbing a dolphin pillow?
It's like a stuffed dolphin.
Boy, I would have been crying my eyes out.
Threw it at my feet and said, "Squish the fish." I mean, that was from 4 years old. I've been to so many games. I mean, it's almost a decision at some points of, do I want to wear my Dolphin stuff? Because if we're getting embarrassed on the field and I'm getting chirped off the field, I mean, it's crazy, man. So I get your point, Steven, of you want a legit win over the Bills. You don't want it to come first week of the season.
Yeah.
I'll take a win over the Bills any goddamn time we can get it. I think that will kind of turn the tides a little bit. I mean, that's been like the monkey on our back. We can't beat Buffalo, and they're in our division. So I'll take that win anytime we can get it 100%, and it'd be even better if I was there. You said you didn't remember the last time the Dolphins beat the Bills. I think it was Christmas Eve in Buffalo like 4 or 5 years ago, because I remember being at that game. It was roles were reversed. I was hugging the Bills fans. Merry Christmas. Get home to your family safe. So I need another one of those. I need to be able to talk my shit.
Dolphins fans are so.
You know what
we're
pisses
wonderful
me off,
people.
though? You know what pisses me off, Bobby? You're 4 years old. They're stabbing a stuffed dolphin, throwing it at your feet. And then when we play them at home, we got more damn Bills fans at the stadium than Dolphin fans. It makes me sick. I don't know what we have to do to fix that. They might have to shut off ticket purchases from certain zip codes. It's ridiculous, man. It makes me sick.
I mean, look, here's a reality. Like, if we want to get into that conversation, that's a totally other conversation in itself, right?
Well, we might as well address it because I'm sick of it.
Well, I mean, look,
I don't have the answer, Steven. I don't have the answer.
It's gonna sound like an excuse, but it's reality, right? And sometimes reality sound similar. Okay, excuses and reality sound similar. Yeah, there's a lot more things to do on a Sunday afternoon in South Florida rather than go watch a mediocre team, call it what it is, play football and spend $100 to $200 on one ticket and food alone for one person, let alone a family of 4, right? I can go to the beach. I can go do whatever on a Sunday afternoon rather than that, or watch it from the confines of my house with the rest of the neighborhood. When you're in Buffalo or you're in Green Bay, you're in these cold weather places, there is nothing else to do on a Sunday afternoon rather than go to the football game. That is it. And in South Florida, there's a million other things to do, and I hate to say it. Now, the goal is that this team does great on the field. It's a party atmosphere in the parking lot before and after the game and during the game, and we get it like that. But, I mean, I don't think you're ever truly going to see until the Dolphins are a great team again, by the way. It will happen when that happens. But I don't think you'll ever see Orange Bowl vibes at Hard Rock, unfortunately, until the team is really, really legit.
Well,
I mean,
at
Steven,
least they sold out. Go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No,
Bobby.
I was just saying, I mean, being from around the area, that is what you do on Sunday. You're either waking up, you're driving to the tailgate at like 7 in the morning, you're getting hammered, and then you're going to the game, or you're going somewhere, you're picking up your food, you're getting to your buddy's house, and you're watching the Bills game. I mean, it is a completely different culture. I've only been to Miami twice, so I can see how there is so much more to do. And like you said, Steven, that's all they look forward to is those Bills games. So us trying to get that atmosphere
else
on their
to
level.
do in Buffalo except eat buffalo wings and go to Bills games. Your life sucks.
Bobby lives there. He knows. He lives in Buffalo. What do you do, Bobby?
Close enough.
He's a golf guy. When it's snowing and you can't play golf, what do you do in Buffalo?
It's miserable, bro. That's why I'm actively trying to get the hell out of here.
Bro,
you put on about 30 pounds in the winter because you eat chicken wings, like he said, all winter long. And then it gets to about this season, and you're like, shit, I'm real fat right now. I need to get outside and lose the weight. It's a cycle. That's just what living here does to you.
I always tell Solo D, I'm like, dude, every time I come down to Florida, I lose weight because I'm sweating it off. But if I live up in Baltimore, I'm like, damn, dude, like all these cold, like I can't. And it's funny because depression is linked to people that live in the north so much more in the cold. Just so you know, people have more depression.
There's a thing in Seattle with like the rain, like it rains so much that they're just constantly gloomy over there.
Yep. Come on now. Buffalo fans, not only do they have a sucky team to root for, not only have they been to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost and never won one, they have the worst weather in the world, and it's always freaking cold over there.
Buffalo was number 1 in the United States in snowfall this year. Number 1, higher than Anchorage, Alaska, higher than anywhere else in the country. Buffalo.
Bro, you get knowledge dropped on you on this smoke show today, bro, Nikki.
Weather, demographics, lifestyle, Dolphins, you name it, we got it. But since we're talking about Buffalo, what is holding us back from being better than Buffalo? Because I'm looking at the Vegas odds on who's favorite to win the East. Buffalo is only minus 175. They're not minus 300. They're not minus 500. They're a favorite, but they're not as heavy as a favorite as you would think. So why is Buffalo minus 180, and what is holding the Miami Dolphins back from being the favorite of the AFC East? What do they have that we don't have? Start with Stephen D.
Look, I think Buffalo has two things that are really, really working well for them. And that is Josh Allen, and that is Stephon Diggs. And the moment Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo, it opened that entire offense to them. And they have been great since he's been there. And he gives a layer of protection to Josh that Josh just feels comfortable in the pocket and knows at the end of the day, no matter what's going on, if I can get it to Stephon, we got a chance to win this thing, right? My hope is, and their offensive line has been really good too. You know, you can't go wrong with their O-line there. I think that if you go to the Dolphins and you go look at a lot of the other positions, you're like, okay, Miami's better here. Our wide receivers now are better, right? Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. I think we have better wide receivers now.
Easily.
I think we have better tight ends, right?
Yes. Knox is a beast, but I think depth-wise, we have way better tight ends.
I'd rather have Durham Smythe than whoever the backup is for Buffalo. All day.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I don't even know the backup on Buffalo.
Exactly. And so I think that the biggest three differences are Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the front seven, as AA puts there for Buffalo. And if those things are twisted or turned around for us, which we hope this year is a big difference, right? Connor Williams coming in, Teron Armstead coming in. My hope JC Treader comes in. We'll talk about that later. I think if those things happen, I think it'll be better. I really do.
Bobby, what do you think is holding the Dolphins back from being the favorite to win the AFC East?
You said Buffalo is only minus 175 to win the AFC East.
Minus
and
175.
Super Bowl favorites.
Yep.
That line, that doesn't make sense. From just a betting perspective, that doesn't make sense.
FanDuel Sportsbook.
But I mean, I think he said it best. It's Josh Allen. I mean, he tortures us every year there. I feel like he runs it on us, throws it on us. Stephon Diggs, adding him to the mix there was insane. I mean, the Bills have always been solid. I feel like they don't have guys that like pop off the page. I mean, Trey White's a baller, but I mean, their secondary with Poyer and Hyde has always been good. But I think it comes down to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I mean, they just torch us every year. But I'm hoping that, I mean, the game I went to, we didn't have an offense. So that game was over when Tua went down. There was nothing to see there. I left in the third quarter. It was sad. But I think we can do it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You look at the teams on paper, like we're saying, and there's just areas where we are clearly better than Buffalo.
Way better.
This point, yeah, way better. I mean, at this point, I think it's just one of those things where we just need to get over the hump. Once we break that, get the camel off our back that one time, just like start like we can actually beat the Bills. I think we just need to buy in and believe, because right now we're obviously not. We go into those games and get off the bus, and it seems like we already lost the game half the time.
You know what? I have to agree with Von Joe. It kills me to say it. Now,
don't do that. Don't agree with Von Joe.
I'm going to. I know it's a mistake. It's gonna be held against me for the rest of my life. I don't know where his comment went, or I'm gonna put it up. Look, I think Tua is gonna have the greatest year of his entire life. He doesn't have to worry about Watson taking his job. He doesn't have to worry about Jesse Davis being the starting tackle. Okay, he doesn't have to worry about Brian Flores literally hating his guts. I think he's going to have the greatest year of his life, but we have to accept what Josh Allen is. He's a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and that is why I believe that Buffalo is the favorite to win the AFC East. I don't think they have a more talented roster than the Miami Dolphins. I think they're pretty even. You could even give us a slight advantage. I think we got better receivers. I think we got more depth. I think we got better, a better running back committee. Now, Mike McDaniel, I love him, but he's still a question mark. You know, we got to see wins. We got to see production on the field. So I think it's a little bit of new head coach and unproven quarterback versus Josh McDaniels and what the Bills have done the last couple of years. I think that's the biggest reason why, because if you just look at the roster, I mean, I don't think we're that far off. And if Tua goes out there and he throws for 4,500 yards and he has 30 touchdowns, I don't see why the Dolphins can't win the AFC East. I mean, what is the biggest fall? I just don't understand. I really don't. I think the line is way too low, and I think Vegas honestly believes that the Dolphins have some type of chance, or it would be Buffalo minus 500, minus 600.
Hey, when it comes to gambling, I'll let you guys take over that. I don't do it. I haven't gambled in over 4.5 years. Just throwing it out there. But what I will say is, I do always look, and I don't know if this is how you wanted to segue, but I'll help you out. I do look at Vegas when it comes to win and loss records, right? Because I think that's I think it's a very decent. In the past, you've been able to go to their win-loss records and say, okay, wow, this is interesting how they look at all the AFC teams. And if you go back and look at all the AFC teams, with the exception, I think, of 3, right? There's only 3 teams in the AFC, if I'm correct, maybe 4. And I want to say 3 of them come out of the AFC West that are projected for double-digit wins in the AFC, right?
Yep.
And so, and a lot of them, Vegas has them coming out of 8.5, 9 games is the over under for a lot of these AFC teams. I don't think Vegas knows how to stack up these clubs against each other. They're it's so competitive, man. Because in a normal world, I would say, all right, the Dolphins acquisitions gave us an extra 2 wins. They gave us an extra 2 wins today.
At least,
right?
But that's
at
the thing.
least
Our total went down. We went from 9.5 to 8.5. Now, I don't know if it's because they think the Jets had the greatest draft of all time and they think we're going to lose an extra game to the Jets. I don't know what the thought process is, but we gained Tyreek Hill. I mean, they're just looking at it as we just added 4th, 5th, and 7th round picks. I mean, our roster got exponentially better.
Listen to this philosophy here, guys. In baseball, they have wins above replacement, right? Where a player gets you, hey, this person's going to get you an extra 6 games, right? This person's going to get you an extra 3 games. If we looked at Tyreek Hill, his WAR would easily be in football 1.8, maybe 2, right? He'd be 1.82 WAR, wins above replacement. Having Tyreek on your team gets you an extra 1 to 2 wins, if not 2 wins extra per year. Okay,
easy.
Whether that be through special teams, play on the field, some yards after catch play, whatever it is. Okay, so I look at that and I say, okay, well that puts us that easily puts us from 9 games last year to 11, and then let's also play last year. Say, okay, well there's at least 2 games last year that we probably should have won, and with this roster on the offensive side, we probably would have won those games. So let's take Jacksonville, let's take Vegas, right?
Atlanta.
We win those 2. Atlanta. Let's take those. That's fine. I said just 2. I said just take 2. Right.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden we go from 11 to 13 wins. So 13 wins puts us in the number 2 slot in the AFC. And I know that's weird and that's far-fetched for what I'm saying. I understand that. I get it. Okay. And I get we're asking Tua to take this humongous jump from year 2 to year 3. But I agree with you, Smokes. I think Tua does take a humongous jump from year 2 to year 3. I think we easily get 3 wins better than we did last year, which is 10, 11, 12. I think we're a 12-win team this year easily.
Wow.
Easily. And
considering our schedule?
Yes, 12 wins. 12 wins.
Dude, wow.
Now, let me say this for a fact. The schedule comes out on Thursday, and I am interested to see what does that look like. We've traveled the 3rd most miles in the NFL, right? It'll be very interesting to see, but if you're holding me to a gun to my head, Nicky Smokes, I'm going to give you 11, 12, or 13 wins next year. I'm not sure if I'm giving you 11, 12, or 13, but it'll be one of those 3.
Bro, I have at best 11. I think our best route is 10-7. I think we go 10-7 or 11-6. The 17 is throwing me off on my mental math. I think that's our route because look, man, if we think about it, if we sweep Buffalo, win the AFC East, I mean that's our best way to the playoffs. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If we win the East, we're guaranteed to make the playoffs. But you go through it, you got 4 division winners, and then you got 1 team from the AFC West who is going to take who's going to take the 5th seed. Then another team from the AFC North, whether it's the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Browns, the odd man out, they're going to have that the 6th seed. And then there's going to be like 4 teams like us, Denver, Las Vegas.
Denver's not.
We're all going to be fighting for that 7th seed. Like that 7th seed, it could be a 5 seed in the NFC. I think if the Dolphins were in the NFC, there'd be no question.
We would be a division winner if it was in the NFC, bro.
For sure.
We'd be a top 4. And
we'd be a favorite to win the NFC.
I get when people are saying Dolphins are a 9, 10, or 11 win team. I think we're an 11, 12, or 13 win team. And I say that because if our defense hasn't lost anybody for the most part, and we've added, and we have, and our offense got significantly better, plus the play calling is going to be better than it was the last 3 years.
Different. But the schedule is different.
And so
we're not playing Ian Book. We're not playing Daniel Jones. I don't think we play the Giants this year. But what I'm saying is we won 7 games straight, but we also got lucky on those 7 games. Let's call a spade a spade. But that whole freaking it was a mess. It was a mess. Our one real win was against the Ravens. We had 7 fluke wins. Played freaking Tennessee, the biggest game of the year, and got slaughtered. We got absolutely slaughtered. And then we beat New England. We swept New England. I think that was our biggest achievement of that year. 7 win was cute, but it was false hope. It was too much too late. And that's why, yes, last year we had 9 wins. But I don't know if I could just add 2 to 3 on top of that because we had Tyreek Hill, because we're playing a whole new schedule. We're playing Aaron Rodgers.
Nikki, we didn't do enough. Then all this was for nothing if we don't win more games than we did last year.
We should.
All this was for nothing. If
I
we
agree.
don't win more games than we did last year, all this was for absolutely not a damn thing.
But if we win 13 games, we should win the AFC East.
100%. And by the way, for the record, so people don't quote me because I know people are going to say, Steve, I said 11, 12, or 13 wins the Dolphins would be in.
Big difference.
And it's a 2-game swing, right? Yeah. So let me wait till the schedule comes out on Thursday. Let me see how we do in preseason. I'll say whatever one I give right before the season starts will be how I feel. But I don't think it'll jump anywhere between those 11, 12, or 13 wins. I think that's
Bobby, what do you think? How many games do you think the Dolphins are going to win?
I wish I was as optimistic as to say 11, 12, 13. I'm just looking at the opponents. Obviously, the schedule's not out. I see 10 wins. I think 10 is going to be my guess. Scheduling is obviously going to be a huge factor. And I know we already brought up Dolphins travel a ton. It'll never make sense to me that the Dolphins continue to play in a division where every other team is in the Northeast. I know we get our home field advantage when they come down to us, but we just rack up so many extra travel miles by flying to New York twice and then New England. But I mean, in all reality, I see 10. I don't see us beating the Bills once until they do it, until they prove it to me.
Wow. If we don't beat Buffalo one time, sell the team.
My whole life, I've been an optimist.
Really? No.
This is the best roster we've had in 10, 15 years.
If we don't beat the Buffalo Bills, it's because Buffalo. I wouldn't say that. Personally.
If we can't beat Buffalo at home one time, if we lose by 20, 30 points again at home with the best roster we've had in 15 years,
then we're probably an 11-win team.
Who are we? What are we going to pray that we barely make the playoffs on a stat correction and then go to the wild card game and get blown out? I'm tired of that because I've been to both playoff games in my lifetime. I went to the Ravens game when I was 10. We got manhandled, and I went to Pittsburgh and we got absolutely
I was there too, bud. I was there in Pittsburgh with you.
I saw Matt Moore get murdered.
A negative 11-degree weather at kickoff.
I'm just saying, man, if we can't beat them one time, especially at home, I think that's all for nothing. I think everything we did is for nothing. That's why you bring Tyreek Hill, the Buffalo Bill killer, the guy who ended their season. That's why you bring him in so we could score with them. Because our defense, I think they held their own the first half at the when we played them at home. We just couldn't score, and we were turning the ball over inside the 50. That game was a mess. But that game was a lot closer, I think, than the scoreboard showed.
What did Brian Whitaker just ask? I want to answer his question.
At Steven, what are the variables that impact that 2-win variance? Tyreek Hill.
I mean, I wouldn't even go that far, right? Like, for me, it's a couple of things. Number one, what does the schedule look like? I know who we play, but this travel thing, when our bye week's going to be, it's going to play a difference. How many cold weather games are we going to play? Let's call a spade, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big difference. The second thing that's going to be very interesting is how well do players learn and really grasp this Mike McDaniel offense? Because this is going to be something that we've never seen. Okay, we're not going to be used to this style offense. And I said this morning on my show that I think that, you know, people were trying to get me to say, hey, Steven, what does Tua do, you know, this year numbers wise? And I was like, I can't really give that. But if I was good at if I was really to predict two things that I'm comfortable with saying, I would say Jalen Waddle's receptions go down because there's more people that can catch the ball this year.
Yes.
And
Yes. I think that's fair.
and I would probably say that I don't see Tua's attempts per game going up. I think it stays right where it is because you have all this new stuff in the backfield, all these new personnel in the backfield and
Fullbacks.
Exactly. Alec Ingold's going to be a very interesting key to this offense. I say all that because I don't know what this offense is going to look like as far as a balanced attack. Are we going to see more runs? We have the weapons to throw the ball deep, but can Tua throw the ball deep, right? And I'm not asking that question. I'm just saying I think he can too. But I'm just telling you, what does the offense look like per se? There's so many options that we have that I think it's going to depend who we play, when we play them, what the weather is like in those games, and all that's going to play a factor into it. It really is.
Agreed. Now, when we're talking about the success of the Miami Dolphins this year, how much do you think of that falls on Tua? Now, I made a video the other day. If you haven't already, go ahead, check that out. Short little 4-minute breakdown on how much I think falls on Tua Tagovailoa this year. I say 60% of our success falls on Tua this year. That's how much I truly believe that. I think quarterback is the most important position on the entire football field. Clump, if you comment Heat in 6 one more time, I'm going to ban you for life. Anyway, I think it's the most important position on the entire football field. You look at Tua's numbers, they don't blow you away. Last year, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. From a franchise guy, I know he missed 5 games. It's unacceptable. When you're picked top 5, I think that's unacceptable. But I think Tua is aware of that. So me saying that, it's not like I'm bringing the hammer down on him. Like, I know Tua's sitting at home and he's like, bro, I got to step this up because if I look at the talent I have around me. Now, the other 40%, I think, falls on McDaniel and the offensive line, because if McDaniel turns out to have all of us sold off the field, but he goes out there and he can't put a game plan together and he can't coach, I think he can. But if he doesn't, that's a problem. And if the offensive line that we revamped turns out to be the same piece of garbage that we put out last year, we're just going to go through this never-ending cycle of, is Tua the guy? And it's like, I think he's the guy, but then he's not the guy. And then you start talking about, well, he doesn't have an offensive line. Oh, he doesn't have a coach. Oh, he doesn't have a system. And then we just kind of do what we did with Ryan Tannehill for 7 to 8 years and just make excuses and all that other freaking bullshit that we went through for that long. So I think 60% of the Dolphins' success this year falls on Tua. What do you guys think? I'll start with Bobby.
I mean, like you said, we'll see what we get from Mike McDaniel. But if you just kind of look at what he did in San Francisco, I mean, Jimmy G is no stud. He's no top 5 quarterback. And he kind of lessened Jimmy's role. And that running game is incredible. And the way they use Deebo Samuel. So I'll be curious how we're running the ball. I'm assuming we're going to get our wide receivers easy touches like they got Deebo. So I really think he's going to try and take some of the weight off of the shoulders of Tua, which I think is necessary. But I also think that Tua needs to take that step that we've all been talking about. He can't be terrible. Number one, he needs to take care of his body. I know that it's not always his like responsibility. Freak shit happens. I understand that. But we need you healthy this year. We need you healthy for every single game this year. And if he can be healthy and just marginally better, I think the scheme we're going to put around him is going to really help to see him improve. Just right then and there. So I think it's already setting up for Tua to have a more productive and better year. So he has to come out and show it. And the nice thing at this point, speaking a little more long-term, is the way we've set up our team is this is kind of Tua's year, in my opinion. And I think a lot of other people think that. And if he doesn't get it done this year, and if he's truly the reason that we're held back out of the playoffs or losing games, I think it's the number one destination that the free agent. So I definitely think Tua, I don't know a percentage, maybe 40, I would say less than what you said, Smoke, just because I think that they're going to try and take the weight off his shoulders and make it more of a running style offense, in my opinion, or just easy, quicker throws with the threat of getting the speed down deep. But we'll see. I'm banking on Tua. I'm wearing a fucking Tua jersey, so I'm hoping for the best for the guy, but I think it's the prove it year. If it doesn't work,
that was a great point. Because if he doesn't do it, we're set up. I mean, we can move on. You know, we got 2 first-round draft picks next year. We're in South Florida. We have a fantastic defense. We got a young, great head coach. If he's truly the reason, I think we can we can easily land a big time free agent or even go after one in the draft. But what do you think, Steven? How much do you think is going to fall on Tua this year?
I think Bobby hit the nail on the head. I want to make a shirt this year that says no excuses, because there is none. There is absolutely no excuses for Tua Tagovailoa this year. If he does not succeed with the weapons that have been put around him and the offense that's being put in place, I can't defend this gentleman anymore. There's nothing I can do for him to defend him. And what I will say is I think that the Dolphins have put everything around him to be successful. And to Bobby's point, I don't think that the Dolphins are having to rely on him more because of this team. I think Tua, I really think with the people that they put into place, it's Tua, just keep doing what you're doing. Just do what you've done. We'll improve everything else, and we'll win some football games. I really don't think Tua has to improve that much more. I think he just has to keep doing what he's doing, make a little bit of a step. I've always said this. I said year 2 to year 3 quarterbacks always make a huge step. They always do. The good ones do. And I think Tua has the potential to be a good one. And I think year 2 to year 3 will be that.
You don't think he has to do a little bit more than 16-10? I think he needs to do at least 30-15. Like, I'd rather have 5 more interceptions and 14 more touchdowns. I don't think he could just go out there and throw.
But to Bobby's point, what if they run the ball more? What if they're a run first team now and they're getting 150 yards?
Are we going to be a run first team because of like a Jimmy Garoppolo?
I don't know.
We know he can't throw the ball downfield, and he's obviously the biggest liability on this team. And that's why they went out there and they drafted Trey Lance. And now
Trey Lance still isn't starting
or not. Yeah, he might be asked, but that's a different conversation. But I don't mind being run first. But like, are we run first?
Let me clarify.
We have liability at quarterback, or are we running first because that's just our scheme?
Let me clarify for you, Smokes. What I will say to you is he does need to improve, but it doesn't have to be a big improvement. It doesn't. I like what
would your improvement be?
I like 40%. I like what Bobby said. I think
I'm talking like touchdown interception.
That's not, I can't give that. People wanted to give me that this morning.
A ballpark.
But the problem with giving that is then you're expecting, then it's going to be, Steven said this, right? I really don't know.
How about this? I'll help you out. Smoke's going to set the line. Will Tua have more or less than 25 touchdowns in your opinion?
More.
Okay. Now there's no exact number. That's it. More than 25. Okay.
I think we'll have more than 25 touchdowns.
Okay.
That's a fair. That's fair. That's fair. Right.
Fair.
And I'll give you this, Smokes. You want to ask me that same question after the preseason? I'll be more than happy to give you numbers. But I want to see how. And here's the other thing: we're not going to see everything in preseason because they're not going to give away the Bible to. They're not going to show everything to us in preseason, especially if we play Buffalo week 1.
Last preseason, Tua looked like Josh Allen in the preseason.
He looked great.
Oh my God! I thought we were golden. I thought we were going to win the AFC East. The Dolphins took an extra $500 out of my pocket last year after I saw them in the preseason. I said, "We are good, brother.
We're going all the way.
We're going all the way." Oh man,
I love it, man.
They had me fooled.
You know what's funny about the preseason? I was so comfortable going into week 1.
Yeah.
And even after week 1, I was like, okay, we beat New England. I know we won by 1 point. I was like, all right, we got this, right? Yeah. And you're right. I felt comfortable, and then I feel like we walked away from whatever the original game plan was going into the season.
Yep.
And part of that is Tua being hurt. Tua got hurt. That's part of what happened.
Break your ribs. Yep.
And they had to totally do something different with Brissett, and hopefully Tua is healthy this year, and we don't have to worry about Teddy B in the background. But if Teddy B does end up playing a couple of games, two things. I don't think Teddy. I think he's a great backup. I think if he starts, it'll only be due to injury. It won't be any quarterback controversy. It'll just be injury starts. And that's what I think.
That's a problem for me, because if Tua gets hurt again, the best ability is availability. And especially when it's your quarterback, man. If my quarterback's missing 4 to 5 weeks back-to-back seasons, that's a liability, brother. Tom Brady's missed 1 whole year. How many times do you hear Aaron Rodgers being hurt? And that's the expectation when you have a guy who's not fine. I can't have my quarterback missing 5 weeks every single game. I can't do it. That's a liability to me. I shouldn't have to go out there and sign a top-tier backup quarterback every year. I mean, Tom Brady's backup was Brian Hoyer for like most of his career. He literally followed the man around.
Yeah.
Like he shouldn't have to go out there because we all thought Jacoby Brissett was the
Matt
best
Castle
backup
got
in the NFL.
Matt Castle got $60 million. Just
Matt Castle almost made the playoffs with Matt Castle. We barely won the AFC East that year. I'll never forget it.
Yep.
But man, I'm tired of the Dolphins having we all thought Jacoby Brissett was going to be the best backup, and now now we got Teddy Two Gloves. We literally have a guy who started as an NFL quarterback last year as the backup for the Dolphins. So the Dolphins are definitely not just overlooking that Tua doesn't have.
Lance, I love you. Teddy is not just. I love you, Lance. But bro,
what do you say? Teddy is just as good as Tua?
No, he's not. I can't stand that argument. I can't.
There is an argument though.
No, there's not.
Argument. There is.
No, there's not. There really isn't.
Teddy's career versus Tua. I'm saying there is an argument. I don't agree with the statement. But there is an argument to be made.
Bobby, do you think Teddy or Tua is better?
I think Tua is better. I'm just saying people have a right to argue that. Like haters can find an argument.
Haters are going to hate. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm sure you can raise points and find games where Teddy had a great game. But the thing with Tua that you still have is you still have that potential. You still have that hope. You still have that what is this guy kind of factor with him. So for me, that's why I say make it or break it this year. And if he's not the guy, you move on. I mean, I don't like Smoke brought up earlier, Tannehill. We just kind of kept going back to him, making excuses. And we can't do that this year. And like, I don't really care who the backup quarterback is. Like, I think too many people have been talking about backup quarterbacks. Who cares about the backup quarterback? If Tua is not the guy and he's not great, I don't see us making the playoffs, especially in a loaded AFC. And I think season's over, start again next year. So that's kind of how I feel. I think Tua has more potential than Teddy Bridgewater. I think that's pretty obvious because we've seen what Teddy is. So, I mean, at this point, to me, it's just a wait and see. I really want to love Tua and want him to be the best he can be. But like I said, if it's not it, we move on.
What are your guys like? What are you guys looking forward to the most? Is it Mike McDaniel? Is it the offensive line? Is it Tyreek Hill catching his first touchdown as a Dolphin? What has you got? Like, what has your senses tingling when you think about this Miami Dolphins season? I'll start with Stephen D.
It's a very good question. And there's been so much excitement this offseason. I don't think I've had time to really process it. Off the top of my head, I mean, I'm excited for the first tailgate. I can tell you that. I'm excited for the first home game. Like, I'm ready for it. Let's go. He's 32. He's 32 Dolphins tailgate. Let's go. I'm excited.
Make sure you hydrate though, because that first home opener, you fuck around, you get heat stroke, bro. That Buffalo game at home last year was probably the hottest game I've ever went to in my entire life.
I'll tell you a funny story real quick. My wife had never been to Miami, okay. To see a Dolphins game. And so 2018, I got season tickets for the first time that year. And 2018 comes around. I'm excited. First game of the year is Tennessee. Okay. I'm like, all right, babe, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go tailgating. We're going to go to the game. It's going to be a great time. It's a 1:00 game. We'll tailgate. We'll get there around. She was not looking forward to the heat. She was not looking forward to being there for 7 or 8 hours, right? But she was excited for me. What happens? There was it became the longest game in NFL history with 2 delays, and she got wet and rained on. She ended up going to almost all the other games with me, but to this day, she's like, I can't with your tailgating, and like, God love her, but she can't do the Miami Heat like that. But what I'll say is, I'm looking forward to that. I would say Tyreek. I'm excited to see Tyreek Hill score a touchdown for the Dolphins. I think that'll be a lot of fun to see that.
Bobby, what are you most excited for?
I mean, I think all Dolphins fans, the easy answer is Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's just a different type of player. I don't think we've had a superstar on offense the way he's such a superstar. But if I had to give more of like a sleeper pick, I'm excited for Jalen Phillips, man. I think Jalen Phillips is going to be a monster this year. I think he's going to. I think he could lead the team in sacks, to be honest with you. I liked what I saw from him. He was a little more rotational.
Hey,
I'm a big fan of Jalen Phillips.
Bobby, I had somebody ask me this morning, and I'll ask you because you just said it. I guess we'll do it like Nikki does, over under 14 sacks for Jalen Phillips.
That's a big number.
I'd have to say under just
Me
because
too.
14.
Okay.
I mean, 14
I said under
is
too.
outrageous.
But that was the question that was asked to me this morning, so I figured I'd
Yeah,
ask you.
if you wanted to
14,
say
I
double
think 14
digits,
would have 14 could make you the leading sack leader in the NFL, depending on how the cards fall.
yeah,
I think it was
14,
16 last year.
I mean, last year, I bet Tua and Myles Garrett over 12.5 sacks, which was the easiest bet of all time. But I'm not putting Jalen Phillips in TJ Watt, Myles Garrett territory. Those are elite defensive ends. But I do truly think Phillips can be special. Double digits is where I would want to see, hope to see. That would be kind of my goal. If he has 10 sacks this year, I'd be ecstatic. So Jalen Phillips is my sleeper player. I think that's the next Jersey cop too, Phillips.
Yeah, I like that. 15's nice and clean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most excited to see McDaniel. I want to see how the guys play for him. I want to know that we have a franchise coach. Now, I know we've been on the search for a franchise quarterback, but within that, we've also been looking for a franchise head coach. And we haven't had that in forever. I mean, Philbin, Dan Campbell, Brian Flores, Sperano, freaking you name it, we've went through it. And I would just love to finally have a young, innovative head coach that's going to lead this franchise in the right direction. Have a guy that the players are bought into, that they're willing to play for, where the people or our locker room, it's selfless. They're bought into the culture. You look at the Miami Heat success, they're so successful because of culture. They've had Eric Spoelstra as their head coach. They've had Pat Riley as their GM or what forever. And that is why they're so successful. And that's what the Miami Dolphins need. We need stability in the front office. We need it from the head coach and in our culture. And I think that all starts with the head coach, because they're not going to get rid of Greer. Maybe if we don't win a single game this year, then we'll finally fire Chris Greer. But he's done a great job this offseason.
Tell me how you really feel.
Did a great job last draft. He did what he had to do to keep his job. And now if they went out there and they hired the right guy, I mean, I think we're set up for a fantastic future. But if we go out there and it turns out Mike McDaniel isn't the same coach on the field as he is off the field, then I don't care what Tua does, because he's going to have to get a new coach, a new system. Then it's going to be square one all over again. So I think a lot rides on Mike McDaniel this year.
Bonjo, I'm not a Bonjo hater, just so you know. I think Mike McDaniel, it's so tough for me to let me put it like this. I said when we got him, I said if he doesn't succeed, he'll be a one and done. And by succeeding, you have to come in and win a playoff game. I think that is the bar. Got to win a playoff game. You don't win a playoff game, I think everything gets torn down to the ground. I really do.
Win a playoff game?
Wait, so if we don't win a playoff game this year, Mike McDaniel out the door year one? And then Sean Payton comes, and then Tom Brady cancels his deal.
Here's what
he's never going to call a game. I don't think he's ever going to call a game. But that's a conversation for tomorrow. But let's stay here. Mike McDaniel doesn't win a playoff game. He's out.
Let me put it like this. Don't be surprised if that's what happens if we don't win a playoff game.
Wow, Sean Payton.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying don't be surprised if it happens.
McDaniel, for me, I mean, it's so hard I don't know what to make of him. Everything he's done off the field has looked great. They got the boys together. I saw him at the F1 race all together. It looks like the culture's coming alive. It's a true question of, can he coach? Because it seems like he has some of the other shit down.
Right.
I think those expectations are just kind of a little crazy, because one, to make making the playoffs would be my goal this year. If we can make the playoffs,
I would agree.
I'd be happy.
Not with this roster. You got to win.
But
it's just such a stacked AFC, man.
I'm with Bobby, and I'm also with Stephen D, because if we go to playoffs and get blown out, I'm tired of that shit too. Because it's a rare occasion when we make it, and then when we make it, we get blown out anyway.
Bobby, listen to this. Listen to this, Bobby. Week 1 of wild card weekend. Was there not a big discrepancy between these 6-7 seeds and whoever they were playing against, 2 and 3? Like, it wasn't even fun. It wasn't even fun to watch some of those wild card games. I think out of the 6 wild card games, one of them was good.
Yeah, I mean, that's how normally how wild card weekend goes. I get that. It's just for me, maybe I'm a little pessimistic. Maybe it's the years of being a Dolphins fan that has done it to me. But like for us to win a playoff game, that means we're ideally going to have to win the division, or if not, we're making the 6th, 7th wild card, and we're getting put in that spot where we go wild card Sunday and we're 7-point underdogs. And then to have us like win the game would be obviously a little far-fetched given that line. So, I mean, for our expectations to be to win a playoff game, you're almost saying we'd have to also win the division, or you're going to have to make an upset in the first round. I just think it's a little tough. It's tough, man.
I'm not saying that it's not, and I agree. It's a huge jump. It's a huge jump.
Huge.
And it's not fair to McDaniel. I'm going to say that either. And my hope is we never find out. I hope we don't ever find out that we have –
The Dolphins aren't fair to head coaches, though. The Dolphins aren't fair to head coaches. Brian Flores, his first year, he was getting paid to lose. Clump, I'm not answering your stupid comments about the Heat. You're just a reverse mush jinx who wants the 76ers. Leave us alone. But the Dolphins are not fair to their head coaches. They're not. Brian Flores, his first year, he was asked to lose games. But with that, it's been a fantastic first episode. We're walking up to an hour. I got a major announcement, and we're going to end it with it.
Okay.
On Friday,
Steven
I
is
got
awesome.
Tuanon. Yes. I got Tuanon coming on.
Uh-oh.
One-on-one. Smokes and Tuanon. Friday, 3 p.m. Friday,
That's
3
big.
p.m. Tuanon and Smokes. Mano y mano. Get ready. Fins up. Thank you guys for listening to the first ever Smoke Show live episode. Thank you both for being on here. Thank you to everyone in the comments. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's go.
Peace.
Peace. Fins up.